Picture three young men, Hong Shiguan, Fang Shiyu, and Hu Huiqian, kneeling in the rain. They are exhausted, but unwavering. The men have been kneeling for the past 5 days. Lucky for them, the rains came at the tail end of their tribulations. Entry into the Shaolin Temple is difficult. Hai Xian is one of the few teachers. They convene for a meeting. The main agenda, recruitment. Most of the board empathizes with the young men and is inclined to relax the rules for larger classes. Hai Xian is a stickler for tradition and filibusters the idea. He imposes that only the abbot can make such reforms. Since they are at an impasse, he proclaims that they must wait for the abbot to make the final judgment. In the meantime, let the kids outside get drenched. The abbot's retreat was a cover to meet his former student and teacher of another chapter. The abbot is attempting to ascertain a peaceful outcome to 2 impending conflicts. The first is of the 3 young men. Their village was attacked, and they've come to learn kungfu to avenge the death of their parents and other relatives. Second, the Qing dynasty declared the practice of Shaolin Kung Fu unlawful. After a short discussion with his former pupil, the abbot decides. The temple will lax its recruitment rules, allowing the 3 vengeful souls waiting at the gates to enter. Hai Xian objects to the reforms. He believes that the vetting process helps keep the riffraff out and maintains the purity of the temple. Allowing more recruits will surely force the Qing authorities' hand. Abbot believes that the Shaolin find themselves between a rock and a hard place as the emperor plans to destroy them no matter what they do. It is better to spread the Shaolin's knowledge and secrets for the good of the country. Hai relents and concedes to the abbot's wishes. He goes to the gate and gives the 3 young men good news. The abbot explains the rules for staying within the Shaolin Temple walls. Obviously, no parties after 9 p.m. because the abbot needs to get in his meditation and sleep time. He continues with rules around curfew. Students are on a permanent lockdown, no leaving the temple until your training is done. Who decides when your studies are completed? The abbot, of course. Yue finishes orientation for the new recruits. A few miles from the temple, 1, 2, 3, 6 men jump out of a small rickety boat and wade their way to the shore. Worn-out battle armor with scrapes and blood splatter, together with the defeated expressions they wear on their faces, hints at them barely surviving a brutal skirmish. Uderi, Li Shikai, Fang Dahong, Ma Chaoxing, Ma Fui, and Kai Dezhong gather themselves. Screams from a distance bring the men to attention. The yelling comes from Yan Yongchun, who is sprinting toward the battle-fatigued men while shouting the name Dezhong. Dezhong hastily friend-zones her as he attempts to distance himself from the screaming and running. It is not a good look for him. They make introductions, and Yan suggests they take refuge in the Shaolin Temple. Since she knows the abbot, she is willing to put in a good word for them. There is conflict among the men as Ma does not want to seek refuge behind the Shaolin Temple's walls. Dezhong squashes dissension by reminding them they are the last of Lord Zheng's men, and that the usurping Emperor Qing's regime is the real enemy. Their goal is to restore the Ming dynasty. Zheng's men go past a collection of young men kneeling at the Shaolin front gate. As they bang on the gates like they are owed money, Hu Deidi volunteers to do the talking. An elder opens the gate, about to bounce some kids, but Hu whispers sweet nothing to the monk's ears. The monk lets them pass. Yan was all talk. She stayed at the bottom of the hill. 2 of the first trio of recruits, Fang Shiyu and Hu Huiqian, are acclimating to life in the temple. Morning practice, chores, and some regular Shaolin Temple activities. Hu Huiqian is thriving, but Fang Shiyu is struggling, moving from one training session to another, even starting a beef, only to end up in the kitchen. Outside, new potential recruits are being tempted with food and water, and are eliminated faster than Big Brother contestants. 3 more young men passed the Shaolin's arbitrary tests. The elders provided Huang Songhan, Lin Guangyao, and Judu the same song and dance they gave the previous new students, Hong Fang and Hu. As usual, after the orientation, it is off to training. Benzino oversees Judu and Lin Guangyao. Zhu agrees to start his training at the library, turning blank book pages over sharp wooden spikes. Lin is instructed to make everyday leg day because that is how gymnastics work. Huang joined Fang in the kitchen as the stirrer. The chain around his waist is for safety, obviously. The Shaolin are masters at disguising mundane daily activities and practices into a deadly martial art form. The idea of hiding one practice to pass it off as another is ingenious. I know I have seen it somewhere else. It's at the tip of my tongue. Wait, no. Don't tell me. One evening, Fang convinced the rest of the freshman class to go and see the other students practicing. When they arrive, Hudi and his friend practice powerful kungfu moves. Fang laughs at Ma Fuyi. Ma did not like Fang from the first time they met. It seizes the opportunity to challenge Fang under the guise of training. Ma Fuyi thrashes Fangs to the point where Hu and Kai step in for a merciful stoppage. Fang stomps off, enraged. Kai warns his friend that Fang may surpass his skill level one day, but Ma scoffs at the notion. With a smirk, Ma knows he has made his beef with Fang official. The next day, Fang is stoking the kitchen fire with the vigor of a UPS employee after the news of the new contract. Unfortunately for him, his kung fu is still weak. As he ponders his pathetic defeat, he notices a masked man practicing. He assumes the master is teaching him new techniques. Lin prides himself on having mastered gymnastics with single plates. Too bad for him. The Shaolin masters know all about progressive overloading. Later that same evening, in the dark of the night, a figure hiding his face and wearing a Kuomintang hat exits from one of the temple's side gates and shifts around to lurk in the darkness. The mysterious man, obviously a master or student, waltzes into an opulent, unguarded court. Guards jump and surround him, ready to attack. It seems a tad late. Posting guards at the entrance or closing the main door would have been a much superior strategy. One of the men, a high-ranking official, tells the others to stand down. Looks like they were expecting him. 3 well-dressed men demand everyone's attention. The men ooze of nobility. King Man Kuei sits on a throne. He is flanked by General Qing and General Gubei Zi. The man removes his hat and kneels to show his respect to the king. The king empathizes with the man's situation of having to spy on the Shaolin. As for the man, he seems at peace as he wants to align himself with the king and the emperor. He reports that the Shaolin have defied the emperor and have taken to allowing more recruits. Even with their strict vetting, new recruits have significantly increased. General GBZ wants the spy's opinion on the best way to destroy the temple. The spy advises that the best way for the Shaolin to fall is from within. He can help by recruiting a few of the students to his side. General Qing questions the spy as he thinks the greatness of Shaolin's kung fu is all hype. He tests the spy with a small demonstration that astonishes the king. King Man Kuei is convinced that the Shaolin is a threat and should be eliminated. After meeting with the king, the spy returns to the temple. He removes his hat and mask to reveal that the spy is Hai Xian. It makes sense as Hai is the only teacher who raised concerns about the increase in recruitment numbers. Fang has improved his kung fu and is eager to try new skills on his nemesis, Ma Fuyi. Watching up in the bleachers are Ma's friends. Ma reminds Fang of his numerous losses. Fang still insists, so Ma obliges. Little does Ma know that Fang's kung fu has tripled, even quadrupled, in power. Fang revels in his thrashing of Ma, but is interrupted by Hai. Hai questions Fang's use of excessive force during a practice session. Of course, Fang downplays the idea and tells his teacher that they've been fighting once a month, and he has lost the last 18 times. What? 18 times? Fang's willpower knows no bounds. Fang complains that his losses were far worse. Hai condemns Fang and warns him that he will be flogged and expelled the next time he acts impertinently. Flogged, then expelled. Shaolin regulations are harsh. Flogging or expulsion, not both. Fang storms off. Hai turns to Ma and asks Ma to follow him. Kai and Hu find Master Hai's leniency towards Ma concerning. Hai is a horrible spy as he has no sense of discretion. The two, Hai and Ma, head to Hai's quarters. He entices Ma with promises of the good things in life. All the master asks is Ma to do as he says and keep it secret. Hai promises his new apprentice that the end of the Shaolin by the Qing dynasty might be the beginning of something marvelous. But the promise of a better life, Sith Lord Hai found his apprentice. Meanwhile, Wu Mei still teaches Kai and Hu while facing the wall. She need not see their form. That is how good a teacher she is. While still in meditation, she can pass on the wisdom of fighting. Kai's kung fu is strong enough to prune trees. Hu's kung fu gives him the mastery of stiffening nunchakus, making it strong enough to go through an old thick tree trunk. Laws of physics be damned. Moving on, Wang Songhan gets a stamp of approval from the abbot. His hours of toiling in the kitchen have paid off. The abbot is so proud of him that he throws shade on Man Yue's skills with the staff. In another wing of the temple, Hu Huichen pulls Fang aside and reminds him of the reason for coming to the Shaolin Temple. Hu concludes that their kung fu is good enough to right the wrongs done to them. Hu's teacher declined their request to leave. Hu hatches a plan to fight the wooden men as the only way to return home. Fang agrees and suggests they go early the following day. The next day, the duo is at the base of the steps to the tunnels of the wooden men. It is a new wing of the temple and feels ominous. The main gates are guarded by two, looks like junior teachers. Oh, they are not guarding it. They let the two friends walk in. One teaching assistant delegates his colleague to turn on the machine while he runs to report the breach to the elders. Word of mouth spreads fast in the temple. Hao orders the ring of the large bell, an announcement that a student has ventured into the tunnels. The men gather at the entrance to the tunnels. Inside the tunnels, Fang and Hu separate. Fang encounters the wooden men. They surprise Fang, but he overcomes the first and second waves easily. On the other hand, Hu encounters an elder sitting in a lotus position in front of a fire pit. The elder seems to have been stationed in the tunnel. His job is to meditate and advise students to return to the temple. Hu objects. He has revenge on his mind. Hu's subsequent encounter is with Master Hai. The teacher offers a single warning before proceeding with a bare-knuckle assault. Fang easily bypasses the third phase of Wooden Man and faces his old nemesis, Ma Fuyi, who is more willing to beat down a weakened Fang, while Ma asks for help. Kai and Hu interfere, blocking Ma and allowing Fang to escape. Hu is doing an impressive job holding his own against a senior teacher. Lucky for Hu, his friends Huang Songhan, Lin Guangyao, and Zhu Du, with Man Yue, come to his rescue. Man confirms that entering the tunnels is not an act of desecration punishable by death. The tunnels were made to deter defection and allow students to turn back. I couldn't care less and attacked everyone who came to Hu's defense. While Hai is distracted, Man Yue leads Hu away from the tunnels and away out of the temple. Before Hu departs, Man Yue asks Hu to make it look like he struggled. Hu wastes no time giving Man what he wants. With that bit of exchange, Hu goes through the hole in the wall and is free to, hide in the bushes. Fang's escape from Ma is short-lived. When they meet again, this time, Hai joins the fray. With Hu free, he had no choice but to give Ma a helping hand. Kai and Hu jump in to give Fang the space to show his gratitude and stagger out of the tunnels. He is exhausted. Hu pops out of the bushes and helps his friend walk away from the temple. Within the walls of the temple, the rest of the students face the abbot and the other elders for their defiance. All the students who helped Fang and Hu pass the tunnels face solitary confinement. Hai quickly questions why Man is not being punished for being an accomplice. Man pushes back that his attempts to stop Hu failed, and he has bruises to prove it. Abbot sees through Man's deception and gives the teaching assistant 6 months of cleaning duty. Several days later, Lin Guangyao visits his friends Huan and Zhu. He has news from the outside. The two escapees, Fang and Hu, found their enemy and avenged the death of their parents. Later that night, Hai visits a military camp. I am not sure why he insists on hiding his face. He takes a knee in front of King Man Kue, who tells Hai to relax. There is no need for formalities as he is amongst friends. The king has some good news. The emperor gave him an entire brigade of troops of battle-seasoned men and the green light to attack the Shaolin Temple. Hai replies that the Shaolin will resist to the death if they must. Generals Qing and Gubei Zi believe they have the numbers on their side and the element of surprise. Hai agrees and wants to make it even easier for them. He will open the Shaolin Temple gates for them when they arrive. Hai offers a military tactic to overwhelm the Shaolin by attacking from the front and the back to have the temple's protection detail stretched thin. Hai shows loyalty by promising to poison the drinking water to weaken the Shaolin. King Man Kue is pleased with Hai's initiative. The king promises Hai that if all goes as planned, Hai is assured to be appointed as a general in the emperor's army. The promise of a promotion gets Hai super excited and even more motivated. Hai runs back into the temple and straight to the well. He opens his veil of poison and recklessly dumps it into the well. Oh no! He got some poison on his sleeve. If he really wanted to poison the water properly, he should have drawn some water with the bucket, mixed it with the poison, and then dumped it back into the well. Who has time for all that work? Not spying Hai Xian, a once lowly Shaolin Temple master and teacher, about to be a general for the emperor. A parched Hu deity approached the well and noticed the masked figure making a hastily flee from the well. Kai joins him, and Hu shares his suspicion of the man messing with the well. They both suspect that it is Hai. Kai suggests they bring their concerns to the abbot, but with Hai being a senior teacher, they will need more than just suspicions. Hu comes up with a workaround: tell all his friends in the temple so that they can be on the alert. In a nearby town, soldiers are causing some disturbance, raiding shops and taking what they fancy. A high-ranking officer veers off the main street and is captured by Fang and Hu. They interrogate him. The officer quickly confesses that the troops are heading for the Shaolin Temple. Fang and Hu interrupt a meditation session with their news of an impending attack on the temple. Of all the elders and senior teachers, guess who is most vocal in opposition to the impending doom? If you answered Hai Xian, you are correct. Fang gives them the number of troops heading their way, but still, everyone is chill. The abbot laments that he hoped they had more time to prepare. Moments later, Hai Xian is by himself armed with a monk spade. Why did they let him out and roam around by himself? It seems as if the monks are letting their downfall happen. Hai easily cuts down the monks dispatched to guard the front door. Fang witnesses Hai's betrayal and concludes that he is the spy. Fang's kungfu is not strong enough to stop Hai. The senior teacher turned spy and, about to become a powerful general, opened the gates for the Manchus. The Shaolin's response is a few shirtless students who are to defend against an army of seasoned soldiers armed with long spears. The future of the Shaolin looks very dim. General Qing and General Gubei Zi lead by example and engage Fang and his friends while the junior teachers sit in the lotus position praying. Like any full-on confrontation, it is chaotic. The soldiers have the upper hand in numbers and armaments. The Shaolin are decimated. The end for most is marked by a dramatic death. Students surrounded by archers just give up and end the fighting themselves. The playful man Yue Zhen starts with General Gubei Zi's dual swords and finishes with Ma. Hong Shiguan, Fang Xiu, and especially Hu Huitian take down a good number of the soldiers. Their kung fu is strong. At some point, they are joined by Hu and Kai to surround Ma. Who knows when he is overpowered and runs away. Hai's fight with the students, Huang Songhan and Zhu Du, is grueling. Hai gravely injures Huang with his spade. Fang comes to the rescue, and they make Hai pay for his betrayal. There will be no General Hai in King Man Kue's army. Unfortunately for Huang, he succumbs to his injury as well. Ma's conversion to the Manchu side must be especially painful for Hu and Kai, who chase him down while soldiers chase them. Kai softens Ma and has him dangling as Hu finishes him with a deadly blow. Zhu separated General Qing into his training room, with the floor filled with wooden stakes. The soldiers are unable to interfere and send for archers. Before the archers arrive, Zhu has enough time to overwhelm General Qing. The archers are too late to save the general. They, however, make Zhu do pay with his life. Surrounded by soldiers with spears, Lin cannot escape General Gubeizi's swords. He decides on mutual destruction. Sadly, it works. The soldiers finish off the last of the remaining temple residents. The surviving soldiers exit the Shaolin Temple. One of the high-ranking officers orders the archers waiting outside to light up the temple with their fire arrows. The poisoned monks are gathered in prayer while their temple burns. Picture the surviving members of the Shaolin Temple. Hong Shiguan, Hu Weijian, Fang Shiyu, Kai Dezhong, Fang Dehong, Hu Deidi, Ma Chao Sing, and Li Shikai look on as their beloved temple burns. They promised each other to keep the spirit and faith of the Shaolin by spreading the teaching to others to defeat the Manchus. The Shaolin Temple tragically ends in a fiery blaze, its future and the country's future in the hands of 8 students,